Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Vihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna and welcome to all the devotees online. Thank you very much for your kind presence as we continue associating with Srimad Bhagavatam. We are at Canto 3, Chapter 9, verses 26 to 49. We'll see how we go if we can complete this in one session. There's quite a few verses. So we'll see how we either go through until the end, or we can split that into two sections. Very important section, Brahma's prayers for creative energy. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubheva cha Patitanam Pavinebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesa Sunyavadi Pastyatya Satarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Sarva Shastra Payusha Sarva Vaireka Satphala Sarva Siddhantna Ratnadya Sarva Lokai Trit Prada Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad Bhagavato Prabhu Kalidundo Didaritya Shri Krishna Parivartita O Srimad Bhagavatam, O nectar churn from the ocean of all Vedic scriptures, O most prominent fruit of all the Vedas, O you enriched with the jewels of all spiritual philosophical conclusions, O you grant spiritual vision to all the people of the world. O light breath of the Vaishnava devotees, O Lord, you are the sun which is arisen to dispel the darkness of Kali Yuga. You actually Lord Krishna who has returned amongst us. Paramananda Pataya Prema Varshasharayate Sarvada Sarva Sevyaya Shri Krishnaya Namastute. O Srimad Bhagavatam, offer respectful obeisance unto you. By reading you attains transcendental bliss. For your syllabus reign pure love could upon the reader. You are always to be served by everyone for your incarnation of Lord Krishna. Mad ekabando mad sange mad goro mad mahadana mad nishtarak mad bhagya mad ananda namastute. O Srimad Bhagavatam, O my only friend, O my companion, O my teacher, O my great wealth, O my deliverer, O my good fortune, O my bliss, offer respectful obeisance unto you. Asadu sadhu tadaina tini chochataraka hanamun chakada chinmam premna arit katayospura. O Srimad Bhagavatam, who give out saintliness to unsaintly, who uplifted the very fallen, please do not ever leave me. Please become manifest, my heart and my throat, accompany pure love of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Janmadyasya Yotanvayaritaratascharte Sobhigna Swara Tene Brahma Hidayadi Kavaye Muyanti Yatsuraya Tejo Vari Mridam Yatha Vinimayo Yatrati Sargom Risha Damna Svena Sada Nirasta Kokam Satyam Param Dhimai. O my Lord Shri Krishna, Son of Vasudeva, O pervading personality of Godhead, offer my respectful obeisance unto you. I meditate upon Lord Shri Krishna because the absolute truth and the primary cause of all causes of creation, sustenance, and destruction of the manifested universe. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations and is independent because there is no other cause beyond him. It is he only who first imparted the waking knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji, the original living being. By him, even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion, as one is bewildered by illusory representation of water seen in fire, land seen on water. Only because of him did material universe is temporarily manifested by the reaction of the three modes of nature appear factual, although they are unreal. I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Shri Krishna, who is still eternally existent in the transcendental abode, which is forever free from the illusory representation of the material world. I meditate upon him, for he is the absolute truth. Prayanal Paisha Sabya Kala Vismin Yuge Jana Manda Sumanda Matayo Manda Bhagyu Padrata. All in one in this iron age of Kali, many but short lives, are quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed. Narayan Namaskritya Narachevam Narotamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tatoje Mudiret. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisance unto the personal Godhead. Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, and the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Savaipum soparo dharmo yato bhaktira dokshaja ahitukiya pratiyata yayatma suprasiddhati. The supreme occupation dharma for you, all humanity, is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendent Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted, completely satisfy the self. Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janaya Chusavairagyam Jnanam Chayad Ahitukam. By rendering devotional service under the person of God at Shri Krishna, one immediately acquires cause, knowledge, and detachment from the world. Vedanti tattva vidastatvam yat gnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti sabhyate. Learned transcendentalists who know the absolute truth call this non-dual substance Brahman, Paramatma Bhagavan. Shru Shru Shosha Danasya Vasudeva Katarjisyan Mahatsevaya Vipra Punya Tirtha Nishevanat. O twice born says, by serving those devotees who are completely free from all vice, great service is done. By such service, one gains affinity for hearing the messages of Vasudeva. Shranvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Ryadantastoya Badrani Vidunoti Suritsatam. Shri Krishna, the person of Godhead, who is Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee, who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtues when properly heard and chanted. Nastaprashu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatutam Slokir Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtiki. By regular attendance in the class in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotees, all that is troubled in the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service unto the person of God at who is praise or transit song is established as an irrevocable fact. Etavan Sankhya Yoga Vyam Sarvad Swadharmam Parinishtaya Janmalava Parampam Samante Narayana Smriti. The highest perfection of human life, achieved either by complete knowledge of matter and spirit, by practice of mystic powers, or by perfect discharge of occupational duty, is to remember the person out of God at the end of life. Akama sarvakamo va moksha kama udari vrena bhakti yogena yajate purusham param. A person who has broad intelligence, where they be full of all material desires, without any material desires, or desiring liberation, must by all means worship the supreme whole, the personality of Godhead. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we continue Srimad Bhagavatam based on the teachings of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Hare Krishna, and welcome after a little lengthy break with all the festivals. Let us proceed immediately. So we are hearing about Lord Brahma's prayers, how Brahma appeared on the lotus and not understanding exactly what his duty was, and not only what his duty was, but also how to fulfill that duty. He wanted clarity, he wanted empowerment, he wanted mercy, he wanted blessings. And he tried endeavoring on his own, but he could not find the solution to those questions. And he then started meditating, depending on the Supreme Lord. So that was very instructive for us, that in the material world, the conditioning, the education, the upbringing, the conditioning, the motivation, the school of thought is you can do anything if you just put your mind to it. You are the greatest, you are unlimited, you can achieve anything. They do not promote dependence. Here we see Lord Brahma, the first created being, who just by his past sukriti, by his past pious activity, within the womb, within the stomach of Lord Vishnu, he is the most qualified. That is why he shoots up, and not, there are unlimited living entities in the in the stomach of Mahavishnu. They don't all shoot up to become Brahma on the top of the lotus. Only that person who has the greatest piety, he shoots up. He becomes Lord Brahma. He takes the post of Lord Brahma. So he's the most qualified in that universe. Yet, it's amazing that even though he's the most qualified, and he who is most qualified right at the beginning of creation had to depend on the Supreme Lord. Here we are in Kali Yuga, we're all thinking, I'm great, I can do anything. This is the illusion. Yes, you have to put the endeavor, but really it's about depending. And Lord Brahma, understanding that, started offering prayers. And in his prayers, we heard many instructive lessons in relation to the material world, its design, its purpose, who we are, who the Lord is, the description of Lord, so many wonderful descriptions that were offered in the prayers of Lord Brahma. Now we also heard about the requests that Lord Brahma offered, and we're going to now hear the Lord's response right up to the end of the chapter. The Lord is going to instruct Lord Brahma what he should do and how he should do it, and bless him. And in this way, we're going to conclude this chapter, understanding in relation to us how we should also cultivate the Lord's instructions. So let us begin. Text 26. Maitra uvacha swasambhavan nisham yevam tapo vidya samadhibi yavan manovacha stutva viraram sakinnavat. The sage Maitreya said, O Vidura, after observing the source of his appearance, namely the personality of Godhead, Brahma prayed for his mercy as far as his mind and words would permit him. Thus, having prayed, he became silent, as if tired from his activities of penance, knowledge, and mental concentration. So the discussion is going on between Maitra Muni and Vidura. They are hearing about this episode of Lord Brahma and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And here we see when the Lord appeared, Lord Brahma offered prayers according to his capacity. We may not be Sanskrit scholars. At least we are able to offer in whatever language and with whatever understanding we have, we can offer prayers. There are prayers that are in the category of offering prayers that are offered by pure devotees, and there are prayers that we can offer from our own heart and understanding. Prabhupada in the purport says, Brahma's enlightenment in knowledge was due to the Lord sitting within his heart. After being created, Brahma could not ascertain the source of his appearance, but after penance and mental concentration, he could see the source of his birth, and thus he became enlightened through the heart. So this is the system of spiritual. This is the system of receiving spiritual knowledge. Divya Gyan Hirde Prakashito. Tene Brahma Hidayati Kavaye. The Lord is seated in the heart, and the Lord will give that knowledge. We generally expose ourselves with the knowledge, but that is more for self-purification. In the material world, this is the only form of receiving knowledge from an external source. But in spiritual life, the real system of receiving knowledge is from the heart. Divya Gyan Hirde Prakashito. But that Divya Gyan is not going to manifest. We love to. We love that it manifests, like without doing any effort, just like that. But no, it's not going to manifest just like that. One needs to tune in, just like a frequency, radio frequency. There are hundreds of frequencies, and you need to tune in to the proper frequency. So to receive Divya Gyan, knowledge from the Supreme Personality of Godhead who's seated in one's heart, you have to tune into his frequency. Now, when you tune in on the radio dialer, there's a lot of static noise until you get it spot on. Similarly, I'm sure everybody has. I'm talking about a radio that we were having. Nowadays, there's no radios. I don't know. Now you just type in 702 and the dial, it's dialed, right? But during our time, we had a radio that you could dial in a frequency. So if you don't dial it exactly, there's a lot of noise. Unfortunately for us, there is a lot of noise. And the biggest noise, who can tell us in the chat, where is the biggest noise coming from? Where is the biggest noise coming from that stops us from hearing the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Yes. And not just the mind. It's our mind. It's our mind. So this is the problem. The mind's chatter, the mind's noise, the mind's desires, thinking, feeling, and willings, all the noise of the mind. And therefore, we cannot hear the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, we need to purify our lives. And what do we need to purify our life? It is the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we're trying to get the mind to be absorbed in the glories of the Lord so that the mind can become purified. And thus, slowly we're able to dial in and fine-tune and then spot on, connect to the Supreme Personality of Godhead with pure devotion, pure focus. And when that happens, we're able to receive transmission. So that is the goal. That is the objective, is to conquer the mind, to focus the mind. Prabhupada continues, the spiritual master outside and the spiritual master within are both representatives of the Lord. Unless one has contact with such bona fide representatives, one cannot claim to be a spiritual master. Lord Brahma had no opportunity to take the help of a spiritual master from outside, because at that time, Brahma himself was the only creature in the universe. Therefore, on becoming satisfied by the prayers of Brahma, the Lord enlightened him about everything from within. Another interesting and wonderful lesson we can learn. Sometimes we have a lot of what if questions. Prabhu, what if this happens to a devotee? Prabhu, what if this, what if this, what if that? We have a lot of what ifs. So consider here, what if I don't have a spiritual master? Well, that was Brahma's situation. What if there's nobody around? That was Brahma's situation. What if it's all dark? There's Brahma's situation. What if I didn't go to school? Etc. The Lord is in everyone's heart. And if one is sincere, the Lord will make arrangements. Therefore, it is the quality of sincerity that really allows you to progress on this path. Prabhupada makes that point in Science of Self-Realization again and again. It is the quality of sincerity. You need to be sincere. You need to be truthful. If that truthfulness, that sincerity is there, there is absolutely nothing that, or you could say, well, there's no blocks and obstacles, and there's nothing you can receive, or you will receive everything you need in order to make progress. Nothing will be out of your reach, not on your endeavor, but by the mercy of the Lord, because you are sincere. Prabhupada says, because of sincerity, the super soul within will send the spiritual master externally. So here we see in Brahma's situation, the Lord was there, and the Lord made arrangements. Text 27 and 28. Atabi pretam anivikshya brahmano madhusudana vishana chetasam tena kalpa vyatikarambasa loka samstana vignana atmana parikidyata tam aha gadaya vacha kasmalam samayan iva. The Lord saw that Brahma was very anxious about the planning and construction of different planetary systems, and was depressed upon seeing the devastating water. He could understand the intention of Brahma, and thus he spoke in deep, thoughtful words, removing all the illusion that had arisen. The Lord could understand, the Lord knew the heart, the intention of Lord Brahma. So here is another lesson. You cannot cheat the Lord. You cannot think that I can present myself externally as a devotee and I will make progress. If one is thinking like that, he is a fool, number one. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that these are agents of Kali. They think or they dress themselves as devotees. They wear kantimala, tilak, dhoti kurta, but then woman behind, wealth behind, ego behind, all these things which they're meditating and contemplating. Pratishta, etc. You could fool the people, you could fool the community, but you cannot fool the Lord. So here the Lord could understand very clearly Lord Brahma's intention. And the Lord reciprocated with that intention. Prabhupada writes in the purport, the devastating water was so fearful that even Brahma was perturbed at its appearance and became very anxious about how to situate the different planetary systems in the outer space to accommodate the different kinds of living entities, such as the human beings, those lower than the human beings, and the superhuman beings. All the planets in the universes are situated according to the different grades of living entities under the influence of the modes of material nature. There are the three modes of material nature, and when they are mixed one another, they become 9. When the 9 mix, they become 81. And the 81 also becomes mixed, and thus we ultimately do not know how the delusion increases and increases. Lord Brahma had to accommodate different places and situations for the requisite bodies of the conditioned souls. The task was meant only for Brahma, and no one in the universe can even understand how difficult it was. But by the grace of the Lord, Brahma was able to execute the tremendous task so perfectly that everyone is amazed to see the workmanship of the Vidata or the regulator. Just before we get into this sidetrack, this word Vidata, regulator. So it's used in different contexts, like people would say, it's up to Vidata. It's up to destiny. It's up to the creator. It's up to the regulator. So in 1985, Shishivardhana temple opened in 85. It was in 85, if I remember well. The opening. Anyone knows the actual date of the opening of Shishivardhana temple? Our community, family community that we had, one of my uncles created a script. It was in Tamil, called Vidatana Lake, the writings of destiny. So the writings of the regulator, the writings of faith. And all our family members, it was like a 2-hour live stage show, live drama with props and lighting and everything. All on the lesson of destiny, how destiny plays out. And I was also a youngster, and I was doing the lighting. So we would go place to place, and we actually happened to be in Durban presenting this play at University of the Westville University. And we were staying in the Aryan Benevolent home that day or that week. And then that day we decided, we were going to the university, and somebody suggested, I think there's a temple opening. Maybe we should just go there. Oh, good idea. So the whole bus came to the temple. And that was my first contact coming into the temple. And, I somehow, there was some spiritual inclination when I came in this world. So we entered the temple. It was actually the day of the temple opening. The temple was packed. All I can remember is I walked in the temple. At that time, I didn't see Srila Prabhupada because we just like walked in. Nobody's said turn left and right seat. No, we just walked in and we just saw the temple was packed with saffron devotees. The kirtan was going on, and I was there at the back. We stood there for about 5 minutes, and then we couldn't see the altar. It was too far. And we, going out, as I went out, somebody at the book table sold me a Bhagavad Gita. And that changed my life. I came home, I read the Bhagavad Gita, and that was it. So thanks to this drama that our uncle orchestrated, Vidatana Lake. So Prabhupada saying the Brahma was able to execute the tremendous task so perfectly that everyone is amazed to see the workmanship of Vidata, of the regulator of Brahma. It's not an easy task. Why? Because of the 3 modes of material nature. And the 3 modes of material nature are just 3, but the mixture, just like 3 primary colors, mix them, you get all colors. So 3 modes, mix them, you get all varieties. And according to the variety, you are positioned accordingly. So there's practically unlimited variety, and Lord Brahma has to accommodate every single variety. It's no ordinary feat. Imagine living in a community where you have all different varieties of individuals, and you want them all to be properly situated. Not an easy task. That is what Brahma actually did in relation to the universe. All inspired by the Supreme Lord. 29. Sri Bhagavanu Vacha, now the Supreme Personality of Godhead, says. Right. Thank you, Ram Kinkar. 18 to the 20th October 1985. So yes, that was, I was correct with the date, the year. And from there, we got Bhagavad Gita. So Prabhupada, really, that's really when Prabhupada, even though I may have been going to the library and maybe it was after that, but yes, that really the book, according to Ram King, it is 85. All right. So Sri Bhagavan Vacha, Ma Veda Garbhagas Tandrim Sarga Udya Mam Avaha Avaha Tanmaya Maditam Yagre Yanmam Partha Yate Bhavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then said, O Brahma, O depth of Vedic wisdom, be neither depressed nor anxious about the execution of creation. What you are begging from me has already been granted before. So the Lord is consoling Lord Brahma from his anxiety that don't worry. Whatever you are begging, whatever you require, it's already granted. So probably in the purport says, any person authorized by either the Lord or by his bona fide representative is already blessed, as is the work entrusted to him. With the instructions comes the blessings. If we consider Srila Prabhupada, when his spiritual master said, you are educated in the English, you should preach in the English language. With that instruction, the blessings of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj was already given. It wasn't like Prabhupada had to separately get blessings. The blessings was already given through that instruction. So same thing with Lord Brahma. The creation orchestrated by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore Brahma is appearing by the arrangement of the Supreme Lord. In that arrangement, the blessings was already there. Of course, the person entrusted with such a responsibility should always be aware of his incapability and must always look for the mercy of the Lord for the successful execution of his duty. Now, when we're given an order, when we're given an instruction, when we want to fulfill Prabhupada's desires, with that intention and the desires comes the empowerment, comes the comes the empowerment, comes the blessings, comes the grace. We then able to achieve and fulfill those instructions. When we do that, there are obstacles on that path. And Prabhupada is sharing the mentality that we need to have so that we do not fall prey to the obstacles. So Prabhupada says, of course, the person entrusted with such a responsibility should always be aware of his incapability and must always look for the mercy of the Lord for successful execution of his duty. One should not be puffed up because he is entrusted with a certain executive work. Fortunate is he who is entrusted. Fortunate is he who is so entrusted, and if he is always fixed in the sense of being subordinate to the will of the Supreme, he is sure to come out successful in the discharge of his work. One, we should always understand I am incapable. I need mercy. I need the blessings of the Lord, of the devotees, to execute my service. And I should never become puffed up. Oh, just see, it was all my doing. All this wonderful service, I have achieved it. Because yes, if you see, Brahma had to create, he had to endeavor, he had to get involved. We also need to get involved with our hands to do the service. And when I do things with my brain, with my intelligence, with my hands, I work, I get it done. Naturally, one's going to think, just see, I did it. We become proud, we become puffed up. We forget that actually all ability is coming from Krishna. And not only is all ability coming from Krishna, but it is by Krishna's grace that what we've achieved is possible. If you see Prabhupada's mood, every time they told Srila Prabhupada, you've preached all over the world, Prabhupada said, no, I didn't. It's all the blessings of my Guru Maharaj. It's all the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. It's all the mercy of the previous acharyas. Prabhupada said, if there is credit, if there's any credit that's due, then that is that I followed the instructions of my spiritual master without any deviation. So very instructive, very important for us to try to imbibe this. Because without empowerment, without blessings, we cannot progress. No matter how big or small that service may be. So very important instruction in terms of the proper attitude and mindset we need to have. We need to keep reminding ourselves, it is not me. First, I said the biggest noise is the mind. The second obstacle on the path of devotional service is you. Your ego coming in the way. The me. It is me. It is my desires. It is my doing. So we need to take the me, the I, the my, we need to move it out of the formula. When we move the me and the I, the ego out of the formula, that's the time when mercy begins to flow. Otherwise, we become the obstacle. We become the blockage from allowing the mercy of the Lord or allowing ourselves to be instruments in the hand of the Supreme Lord. If you see now, Prabhupada's giving an example. Arjuna was entrusted with the work of fighting on the battle of Kurukshetra, and before he was entrusted, the Lord had already arranged for his victory. But Arjuna was always conscious of his position as subordinate to the Lord, and thus he accepted him as the supreme guide in his responsibility. Anyone who takes pride in doing responsible work but does not give credit to the Supreme Lord is certainly falsely proud and cannot execute anything nicely. Brahma and the persons in the line of his disciplic succession who follow in the footsteps are always successful in the discharge of loving transcendental service to the Supreme Lord. We are coming in the line of Lord Brahma. That means if we have the proper attitude, if we understand that we need Krishna's mercy, and we allow that mercy to flow. We pray for that mercy. We beg for that mercy. We cry for that mercy. And we become instruments in the hand of the Lord. And anything that we execute will be successful. An instrument, just like this is an instrument, cell phone. And I use the instrument. The instrument on its own is not conscious. Therefore, I can pick up this instrument, I can put it down, I can do anything with this instrument. It's not going to fight back because it is not conscious. It is acting like a totally dedicated instrument that I can handle as I wish. But that's not surprising because it is lifeless. But Arjuna is a conscious being. For him to be an instrument in the hands of the Lord, that is something. Therefore, if you consider, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says one should be more tolerant than tree. Why? Because if a dog comes and wheezes on the tree, what is the tree going to do? Nothing. The tree is just standing there. Its consciousness is so small, so slight, so light, so shallow that it cannot move, cannot kick the dog, cannot scream at the dog. It just has to stand there. It can't move, it can't do anything, therefore it's tolerating. Not so great. But Lord Chaitanya is saying, be more tolerant than a tree. What does that imply? You need to be more tolerant than a tree. Okay, if a dog comes and wheezes on you, you have to be more tolerant than a tree. That means you have the consciousness, the awareness to do something, to move, to kill the dog, to kick the dog, to scream at the dog, or not to move. So how you deal with that situation to be an instrument in the hands of the Lord as a conscious being, that is powerful. So as conscious living entities, for us to be instruments means I need to depend on the Supreme Lord and I need to move my agenda, my ideas, my ego out of the way. And if we do that, then we are blessed by the Supreme Lord. And to achieve this is not an overnight practice. It's going to take time. Because we are conditioned beings. 30. Boyastvam tapa atishta vidyam chaiva mad ashrayam tabhyam antar ridi brahman lokan drakshyasya apavritan. O Brahma, situate yourself in penance and meditation and follow the principles of knowledge to receive my favor. By these actions, you will be able to understand everything from within your heart. So, very wonderful. The Lord's guiding Lord Brahma in doing specific actions. He should situate himself in penance and meditation, should follow the principles of knowledge that he has received, again, by the mercy of the Lord. And by these actions, you'll be able to understand everything from within your heart. Linked to the previous verse, whatever happens in our life, whatever success we achieve, we should give credit to the Supreme Lord. We should give credit to the mercy of Krishna. No matter what it is, we're able to chant our rounds by the mercy of Krishna. I'm able to cook nicely by the mercy of Krishna. I'm able to do the service by the mercy of Krishna. That's the consciousness that we need to cultivate. And yes, in the beginning, it may be premature, artificial. But at least you are reminded that, yes, actually, it is by the mercy of Krishna. Because all our senses, all our assets, all our resources, everything is coming from Krishna. And not only is all our resources coming from Krishna, even we are connected to Krishna, even we coming from Krishna. And everything we need to perform our service is coming from Krishna. No one here is controlling the heartbeat. Nobody is controlling your heartbeat. Nobody here is controlling the flow of blood from top to bottom. None of us are controlling the digestive system. None of us are controlling the breathing system. None of us are controlling the lymphatic system, and on and on and on. All the different systems for this body to function, none of us are controlling that. Yet, without that, you can't do anything. None of us are generating oxygen. And yet, without oxygen, I can't do anything. But Krishna's made such a nice system that there'll never be shortage of oxygen. Because he made plants take in carbon dioxide and give off oxygen. And we that breathe in oxygen and give off carbon dioxide, a perfect balancing system. And yet, we think it is me and I that have done everything. So this is the illusion, this is the challenge, this is the problem that Lord Brahma is instructing, that the Lord is instructing Brahma to be careful of. Prabhupada in the purport says, the mercy of the Lord bestowed upon a particular person engaged in executing the responsible work entrusted unto him is beyond imagination. The mercy of the Lord is beyond imagination. We cannot clearly understand or even appreciate the amount of mercy that is flowing. Just the fact, for example, just the fact that we are connected to Prabhupada, that is such inconceivable mercy. It's unreal. Unreal to measure, to comprehend. Then we have Prabhupada's books, the Bhagavatam. That itself is inconceivable, unmatched. Then we have the association of devotees. The list goes on and on and on. So understanding and appreciating that blessing, that mercy is key. By his mercy, but his mercy is received due to our penance and perseverance in executing devotional service. Now comes the criteria. How do I get that mercy? That mercy does not come cheaply. It requires effort. It requires penance. It requires perseverance in the execution of our devotional service. The Lord wants to see, are you serious? Are you committed? Are you dedicated? Are you persistent? Or as soon as the first obstacle comes, we jump ship. Consider, we should always reflect on Prabhupada. He's going to a destination which is unknown, no money, no friends, no clear destination or roadmap. And on his way to America, 2 heart attacks. If I'm going to a destination and I get 1 heart attack, I'm turning back and going to the hospital. Prabhupada got 2 heart attacks on his way to America. He could have easily said, wow, I had 2 heart attacks. Captain, I think I'm not made up for this trip. Let's go back. In fact, the captain also told him, why don't you come back? the ocean was so calm. Please, why don't you come back? Rob could have said, yeah, actually, you're right. I had 2 heart attacks. And I'm old. And actually, Srimati Sumarti Marji was correct. She definitely was correct. I'm old, I'm going to die here. Let's go back. No. That didn't stop Srila Prabhupada. No money, that didn't stop Srila Prabhupada. Don't know whether I should turn left or right, that didn't stop Srila Prabhupada. He was attacked, he didn't stop Srila Prabhupada. He had so many challenges, it did not stop Srila Prabhupada. So that perseverance in executing devotional service, that is what the Lord sees. And when the Lord sees that, then mercy flows. So yes, we need to pay the price. Brahma was entrusted with the work of creating the planetary systems. The Lord instructed him that when he meditated, he would very easily know where and how the planetary systems must be arranged. The directions were to come from within. And there was no necessity for anxiety in that task. Such instructions of Buddhi Yoga are directly imparted by the Lord from within, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 10:10. Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam, Krishna says. So yes, Krishna will instruct, Krishna will guide those who are sincere, those who are persistent, those who persevere. And each of us need to find that service that inspires us and lock into that service. Become expert in that service. Focus, become absorbed in that service. Contemplate, meditate, expand that service. In this way, by consistency, by perseverance, we will get the Lord's blessings. 31. Tata atmani lokecha bhakti yukta samahita drashtasi tatmam tattam brahman mai lokan tvam atmana. O Brahma, when you are absorbed in devotional service, in the cause of your creative activities, you will see me in you and throughout the universe. And you will see that you yourself, the universe, and living entities are all in me. Now, here's one of those verses where you could interpret this like the living entities and the Lord are all one. So Prabhupada says, it is cited herein by the Lord that during his daytime, Brahma would see him as Lord Sri Krishna. He would appreciate how the Lord expended himself into all the calves during his childhood at Vrindavan. He would know how Yashoda Mai saw all the universes and planetary systems within the mouth of Krishna during his playful childhood pastimes. And he would also see that there are many millions of Brahmas during the appearance of Lord Krishna in Brahma's daytime. But all these manifestations of the Lord appearing everywhere in his eternal transcendental forms cannot be understood by anyone but the pure devotees, who are always engaged in devotional service to the Lord and are fully absorbed in the Lord. The high qualifications of Brahma are also indicated herein. So even though this verse is implying some sort of impersonal concept, the living entities are in the Lord, and it's like they're homogeneously one. But this verse is actually the Lord telling Lord Brahma about his appearance in Dwarka, his appearance in Dwapara Yuga. He's hinting, he's giving him a clue that you will see this one day. And Prabhupada in the purport is now expanding what actually Brahma will see. So in this way, the Lord is actually inspiring Brahma and giving the blessings that he will be part of his pastimes. 32. Yada tu sarva bhuteshu darushwagnim iva stitam pratikchakshita mam loko jayat taryeva kashmalam. You will see me in all living entities as well as all over the universe, just as fire is situated in wood. Only in that state of transcendental vision will you be able to be free from all kinds of illusion. Purport. Brahma prayed that he might not forget his eternal relationship with the Lord during the course of his material activities. We also want to be very cautious, careful, and pray to the Lord that I also don't forget you during the course of my service. In answer to that prayer, the Lord said that he should not think of existing without a relationship with his omnipotency. The example is given of the fire in the wood. The fire kindled in the wood is always the same, although the wood may be of different types. Similarly, the bodies within the material creation may be specifically different according to shape and quality, but the spirit souls within them are not different from one another. The quality of fire, warmth, is the same everywhere, and the spiritual spark, or part and parcel of the Supreme Spirit, is the same in every living being. Thus, the potency of the Lord is distributed all over his creation. This transcendental knowledge alone can save one from the contamination of material illusion. Since the Lord's potency is distributed everywhere, a pure soul or a devotee of the Lord can see everything in relationship with the Lord, and therefore he has no affection for the outer coverings. That pure spiritual conception makes him immune to all contamination of material association. The pure devotee never forgets the touch of the Lord in all circumstances. For us to be protected, we need to be connected to the Lord. The connection to the Lord can be achieved through constant chanting the holy names of the Lord. And here Prabhupada is giving another way to connect, because the spirit soul is part and parcel of the Supreme Spirit. It means that that is the potency of the Lord. And because that is the potency of the Lord, when you connect with that potency, you also connect with the Lord. So, if we are dealing with people, we're seeing people, we're always interacting with people, when we see beyond the body and focus on the spirit soul, and when you're rendering service, identifying the spirit soul beyond the body, you are now in connection and constant touch with the Supreme Lord through his potency. So say, for example, we serving prasad. If I'm serving prasad, I should not be thinking I'm serving prasad to this person who's male, who's female, who's black, who's white. No, I'm serving prasad to this spirit soul. As soon as I think I'm serving prasad to this spirit soul, that activity, that perception, that connection protects you from all contamination of material association. It makes you immune, Prabhupada says. So we need to elevate our perception, our consciousness to see beyond the body and see the spirit soul. This way, we're able to keep the connection. I remember I would take a lift from Lenasia, where I was staying, to central Johannesburg with one of my uncles. He had a shop in the Carlton Center. It was, either Carlton, it was Braamfontein, like Braamfontein area. And then I would walk from Braamfontein to Wits University. And I clearly remember, because I had read Prabhupada's books and was trying to apply that to some degree. And I remember when I would walk through especially the station, Park Station, train station, there would be so many people. So mentally in my consciousness, I would try to emulate this. Because I'm walking and there's so many people around me, I would try to visualize that I'm seeing spirit souls, because we know the spirit soul is in the region of the heart. So I would try to visualize souls moving instead of bodies moving. Like that, I would try to emulate this type of perception. So, the Lord is directing Brahma to think like this, to see like this. When Brahma is able to see the Lord's energy everywhere, he is never separated from the Lord. And if you're never separated from the Lord, you will be immune to the contamination of material association. And this way you'll never forget the Lord in all circumstances. We see Prabhupada's consciousness, Krishna consciousness like that. When Prabhupada saw a mosquito biting him. So Prabhupada saw a mosquito biting him. Prabhupada didn't see a material mosquito. Prabhupada said, just see how Krishna has given him a syringe. So Prabhupada immediately connected that mosquito to Krishna. Prabhupada jumped into a car. It was raining. And there were heavy raindrops hitting the windshield or windscreen. And when the raindrops were hitting the windscreen and splashing on the windscreen, Prabhupada said, just see the gopis' tears. So like that, Prabhupada was able to see Krishna's energy, Krishna's potency, Krishna's pastimes, Krishna's abilities, Krishna's empowerment throughout. We need to try to connect our life, our activities, somehow or other, to Krishna and Krishna's potencies. 33. Yada rahitam atmanam bhutendriya gunasaye swarupena mayopetam pashyan swarajyam richati. When you are free from the conception of gross and subtle bodies, and when your senses are free from all influences of the modes of material nature, you will realize your pure form in my association. At that time, you will be situated in pure consciousness. So now we're gaining further instructions of how to situate ourselves in purity. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it is said that a person whose only desire is to render transcendental service to the Lord is a free person in any condition of material existence. It is said that a person, anya bilasita sunyam, all other desires are sunya, zero. Only desire is, how can I render service, transcendental loving service? If that is our only desire, then that person is free from any condition of material existence. That service attitude is the swarup, or real form, of the living entity. Meditate on this statement. That service attitude is the swarup, the real form of the living entity. The form of the living entity is service. The form of the living entity is service attitude. That is why, if we do not cultivate a service attitude, if we do not cultivate service, if we do not become attached to service, there is no question of perfection. Because your identity, your form, your swarup, your constitution is of service. Therefore, Prabhupada again and again and again is making this point. Develop the service attitude. Become attached to service. Big or small, doesn't matter. Whatever service, you become attached to that service. You become absorbed in that service. Because that will revive, that will ignite, that will resuscitate, it will renovate your form. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his Chaitanya Charitamrita also confirms the statement by declaring that the real spiritual form of the living entity is eternal servitorship to the Supreme Lord. The Mayavad school shudders at the thought of a service attitude in the living entity, not knowing that in the transcendental world, the service of the Lord is based on transcendental love. Transcendental loving service is never to be compared to the forced service of the material world. In the material world, even if one is under the conception that he is no one's servant, he is still the servant of his senses, under the dictation of the material modes, Factually, no one is master here in the material world, and therefore the servants of the senses have a very bad experience of servitude. They shudder at the thought of service because they have no knowledge of the transcendental position. In transcendental loving service, the servitor is as free as the Lord. In transcendental loving service, the servitor is as free as the Lord. If you want real freedom, this is the secret. Transcendental loving service. As free as the Lord. The Lord is Swara, totally independent, totally free. When we lock into service, that service bestows freedom. Freedom from material contamination, freedom from all suffering, freedom from everything we don't want. The Lord is Swarat, or fully independent, and the servant is also fully independent or Swarat in the spiritual atmosphere because there is no forced service. It is out of love. It is out of loving sentiment. I want to do it. I love to do it. So we want our service to go from force, I have to do this, really, to I want to do it, to I love to do it. We need to move in that direction. Take, for example, chanting 16 rounds, daily. Is it grudgery? You're doing it with grudge, doing it with like, do I have to chant 16 rounds? Or I have to finish these rounds, or I want to do these rounds, or I love to chant. So we need to move, we need to grow, we need to evolve, we need to transform. We need to grow up in spiritual life. We don't want to stay in kindergarten all our life. And for you to not stay in kindergarten all your life, kindergarten, spiritual school all your life, you need to come out of the comfort zone. You need to embrace divine austerity, tapo divyam. You need to cultivate the proper mindset to move in the right direction. You need to embrace penance. You need to have persistence, perseverance. It's not going to be automatic. I'm initiated now. I'm going to go back to Godhead. No. It's not going to work like that. It doesn't work like that. Oh, I'm a Hare Krishna devotee. No, it doesn't work like that. Just being a Hare Krishna devotee means nothing. So you're not going back to Godhead. You're not getting perfection. Nowhere does Prabhupada say you just think you're Hare Krishna devotee going back to Godhead. No, it's not. That's not the way the process works. It's about attachment to your swarup, attachment to your constitutional position, attachment to devotional transcendental service. There, the transcendental loving service is due to spontaneous love. A reflected glimpse of such service is experienced in the service of the mother unto the son, the friend's service unto the friend, or the wife's service unto the husband. These reflections of service by friends, parents, or wives are not forced, but are due only to love. Here in this material world, however, the loving service is only a reflection. The real service, or service in Swarup, is present in the transcendental world in association with the Lord. The very same service in transcendental love can be practiced in devotion here. So, Robert is hinting again. It's not that when I go back to God, that I'll serve. No, you're not waiting to go back to God to serve. You are going to be serving here. The very same service in transcendental love can be practiced in devotion here. That means the service there can be applied here. If you apply that service here, you're already in the spiritual world. You don't need to go back to Godhead. This verse is also applicable to the Jnani school. The enlightened Jnani, when free from all material contaminations, namely the gross and subtle bodies, together with the senses of the material modes of nature, is placed in the supreme and is thus liberated from material bondage. The Jnanis and the devotees are actually in agreement up to the point of liberation from material contamination. But whereas the Jnanis remain pacified on the platform of simple understanding, the devotees develop further spiritual advancement in loving service. The devotees develop a spiritual individuality in their spontaneous service attitude, which is enhanced on and on up to the point of Madhurya Ras, or transcendental loving service, reciprocation between the lover and the beloved. So we want to become insanely attach to service. And the first service is chanting the holy names of Krishna. So I want to become attached. I want to fall in love with chanting. It's not going to happen overnight. Anushilanam, it needs to be cultivated. It needs to be cultured. You need to educate yourself on the glories of the holy name. You need to associate with others that have that taste so that it can rub on. And from that attachment to the holy name, we're begging for service. Oh Lord, oh energy of the Lord, please engage me in your service. Please engage me in your service. So it's all about service attitude. 34. Nana karma vitanena prajabhavish shishkrit sata natma visiddhatyasmi asmimste varshiyan mad anugraha. Since you have desired to increase the population innumerably and expand your varieties of service, you shall never be deprived in this matter, because my causeless mercy upon you will always increase for all time. Oh, wonderful. The mercy of the Lord is not stagnant. It's not dry. It keeps increasing more and more and more. A pure devotee of the Lord, being cognizant of the facts of the particular time, object, and circumstances, always desires to expand the number of devotees of the Lord in various ways. This is the desire of the Lord. This is a desire of the Lord, but this is the desire of the pure devotee. The pure devotee, according to time, place, and circumstance, wants to increase the number of devotees. Because all living entities have a relationship with the Supreme Lord. The Lord wants every living entity to come back into his fold. And therefore, the pure devotee wants to bring everyone back. We want to serve the pure devotee with that mission. This was Prabhupada's desire also. He wanted the whole universe to be liberated, to go back home. And therefore, our service should also be, how can I bring more individuals to the lotus feet of Krishna? How can I help as many souls as possible to bring them to the lotus feet of Prabhupada, to bring them to the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya, to bring them to the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna? This is the desire of the pure devotee. We are not only interested in our salvation. Prahlad Maharaj made it very clear, my Lord, I'm not worried, I'm not concerned about myself. I'm worried about all the living entities in this universe. So this should be our mindset, our aspiration. In my exchanges, how can I help people move even one step? They don't need to be devoted. They don't need to become full-time devotees. They don't need to, be devotees immediately. Just like sometimes we may be out on the street and we distribute a book to someone and they become devotees. Now, if we tie this to the verses in the beginning that we read, it is by the mercy of the Lord we're able to do that. And if I think it is because of me that that person became a devotee, well, that is foolish. And if I think it's only because of me, that is also foolish. You may have been an important trigger, or rather you are an important trigger in that person surrendering. But it wasn't your doing only. Firstly, It is all the mercy of Krishna. But if you are to consider, just like if I have a bullet shield, a bulletproof vest that I'm testing on a mannequin. So I put the bulletproof vest on the mannequin, and then I shoot at the bulletproof vest. So I shoot the first bullet, and it makes a dent and nothing else. I shoot the second bullet, makes a dent. I shoot the third bullet, the dent goes deeper. I shoot the next bullet to the same place and it goes deeper. Eventually, there'll be one bullet that will penetrate. Now, that last bullet that penetrated, I can't say that that bullet penetrated the bulletproof vest. No. The only reason why that bullet was able to penetrate through the vest was because of the help of all the other bullets. Similarly, the only reason why I distributed a book and somebody came to the temple and surrendered was because of the hundreds of devotees that have come in contact with this spirit soul in past lives and who has tried to give him Krishna consciousness and increase his devotional piety, agyata sukriti, to take him one step closer to surrendering. And it just happened that you, at some point, time, place, circumstance, happen to meet this person, give him a book, and he surrenders. It was not you. And therefore, we thank all those that have come in contact with this soul in generations of lifetimes to be able to now surrender. And you thank the Lord that, thank you for giving me an opportunity to also be part of the living entity surrendering. It wasn't me doing everything. So the pure devotee wants everyone and wants to expand the number of devotees. We have the opportunity of rendering some little service in this regard. This was Prabhupada's mission. This is the opportunity Prabhupada has given every one of us. That not only are we able to rescue ourselves, but we're also able to help others on this amazing process, on this amazing path. And we should be firmly convinced that those on this path may be imperfect. Those on this path will falter. Those on this path may be diverted and distracted. Those on this path may fall prey to the material energy. But the process is perfect. The knowledge is perfect. The mercy will always be there. No matter the time, the object, or circumstance. When we depend on the Supreme Lord, mercy will be there. Such expansions of transcendental service may appear to be material to the materialist, but factually they are expansions of the causeless mercy of the Lord towards the devotee. Plans for such activities may appear to be material activities, but they are different in potency, being engaged in the satisfaction of the transcendental senses of the Supreme. So when we are engaged in different varieties of devotional activities, trying to facilitate and expand the number of devotees, trying to help bring more people to Krishna consciousness, it may seem like ordinary material activities, but actually it's all part of the transcendental pleasure of the Lord. And therefore the experience is different. It is not binding, it is liberating. 35. Vaishimadyam nabad nati papiyam stom rajogunam yanmanomai nirbadam prajasam prajasam shirjato pite. You are the original Rishi. And because your mind is always fixed on me, even though you will be engaged in generating various progenies, the vicious mode of nature, the vicious mode of passion will never encroach upon you. Purport. The same assurance is given to Brahma in the second canto, 9th chapter, verse 36. Being so favored by the Lord, Brahma's schemes and plans are all infallible. If sometimes Brahma is seen to be bewildered, as in the 10th canto, he is bewildered by seeing the action of the internal potency that is also for his further advancement in transcendental service. Arjuna is found to be similarly bewildered. All such bewilderment of the pure devotees of the Lord is specifically meant for further advancement in knowledge of the Lord. So Brahma is given the assurance of his protection. And even as Prabhupada is warning that in the future we see someone say, oh, but how come Brahma is a pure devotee? How come this happened to him? Well, if he falls prey, there is again Krishna's blessing and mercy for Krishna to reveal more of his glories. If Arjuna did not, if Krishna did not put Arjuna in more bewilderment, we would not have the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. So that is also Krishna's mercy, Krishna's blessings, so that we can get more and more knowledge about Krishna. 36. Natoham bhavata twadya durvigne yopi dihinam yanmam tvam manyase yuktam bhutendriya gutnat mabi. Although I am not easily knowable by the conditioned soul, you have known me today because you know that my personality is not constituted of anything material, and specifically not of the 5 gross and 3 subtle elements. Krishna's body is totally transcendental. Knowledge of the supreme absolute truth does not necessitate negation of the material manifestations, and understanding of the spiritual existence as it is. To think that because material existence is realized in forms, therefore spiritual existence must be formless, is only a negative material conception of spirit. The real spiritual conception is that spiritual form is not material form. Brahma appreciated the eternal form of the Lord in that way, and the personality of God had approved Brahma's spiritual conception. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord condemns the material conception of his body, a conception that arises because he is apparently like a man. The Lord may appear in any of his many spiritual forms, but he is not materially composed, nor has he any difference between the body and the self. That is the way of conceiving the spiritual form of the Lord. So 2 very, 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 very important points. Krishna's body is eternally spiritual, has absolutely nothing to do with matter, gross or subtle. Secondly, Krishna's body and Krishna are non-different. There is no 2 identities there. Like our body and ourselves are different identities. Krishna, his body, he, the soul, the body are all one. They're non-different. When we understand this, Janma karma chame divyam evam yo viti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mam eti so Arjuna. If you understand this tattva in truth, then you will not take birth again in this material world. So it's such simple points, but yet people's conditioning prevents them from understanding these simple spiritual facts. 37. Tubhyamat vichikit sayam atmame darshito bahi nalena salile mulam pushkarasya vichintvata. When you were contemplating whether there was a source to the stem of the lotus of your birth, or you even entered into that stem, you could not trace out anything. But at that time, I manifested my form from within. Purport. The personality of Godhead can be experienced only by His causeless mercy, not by mental speculation or with the help of material senses. Material senses cannot approach the transcendental understanding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He can be appreciated only by submissive devotional service when he reveals himself before the devotee. Only by love of Godhead can one know God, not otherwise. Is there only one way back to Godhead? Is there only one way of knowing God? Yes. Whether you're Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Jew, Tamil, or whatever, there is only one way. And what is that way? Only by love of Godhead can one know God, not otherwise. The personality of Godhead cannot be seen with the material eyes, but he can be seen from within by spiritual eyes opened by the ointment of love of Godhead. As long as one's spiritual eyes are closed due to the dirty covering of matter, one cannot see the Lord. If we cannot see Krishna, know why. There is dirt. And if dirt is there, what's the next step? Clean it up. How do I clean it? Cheto darpana marjanam. Shranvatam swakata Krishna punya shrava kirtana riddantastaya badrani vidunoti saritsatam. All this badrani will be cured by hearing, by chanting, by glorifying, by serving. Again and again and again. So we don't add more dirt, but we need to remove the dirt. When we remove the dirt, we can see the Lord. But when the dirt is removed by the process of devotional service, one can see the Lord without a doubt. Prabhupada could have easily stopped the sentence, but when the dirt is removed by the process of devotionals, one can see the Lord, full stop. But no, Prabhupada thought consciously, intentionally, complete the sentence to say without a doubt. Why? Because he is seeing the Lord. Therefore, he can give the assurance without a doubt. I can see. You can also see without a doubt. No, cross your fingers, cross your toes, hope for the best. It doesn't work like that. This is not a process based on hope. I wish, I hope. No, there's no wish and there's no hope. It's due to purification. It's action of devotional service that will purify your heart, that will reveal, that will give you revelation of the Supreme Lord. So really, it's about working on your heart, working on your chitta, your consciousness. Don't worry about everybody else's heart and everybody else's dirt. No, you focus on yours. Focus on your heart. When you focus on your heart and purify your heart, you will then become an amazing instrument, inspiration for others. Brahma's personal endeavor to see the root of the lotus pipe failed. But when the Lord was satisfied by his penance and devotion, he revealed himself from within with no external endeavor. This process is very scientific. Our endeavor will lead to revelation by the mercy of the Lord. 38. Yach chakartanga mat strotam mat katha bhu bayantikam yad va tapasi te nishtha sa esha mad anugraha. O Brahma, the prayers that you have chanted, praising the glories of my transcendental activities, the penances you have undertaken to understand me, and your firm faith in me, all these are to be considered my causeless mercy. Now the Lord is extending what he said before even a little further. Brahma, the prayers that you have chanted, praising the glories of my transcendental activities. How was Brahma able to offer prayers? By the mercy of the Lord. The penance you have undertaken to understand me, the austerity, the challenge, the difficulties. How were you able to perform those activities? By my mercy. The firm faith that you had in me. How did you get that faith? How did you have that faith? By my mercy. So, all our activities, all our endeavors, all our abilities to offer glorification, our ability to chant Hare Krishna, our ability to render service, our mentality, our faith, our aspirations that are all aligned to devotional service. How are we able to have all this? The facilities, which are easy to say, yes, it's coming from Krishna, but all these other activities and subtle activities, how are we able to have that? We should consider those, we should consider that we have that all by the mercy of Krishna, causeless mercy of Krishna. In this way, we will always be grateful. Can you see how in the material circles people talk about gratitude? The attitude of gratitude. This is how it's linked. When people get up and say, God, thank you that I'm able to breathe. God, thank you that I'm able to stand. God, thank you for another day. We should not be thinking that's Maya. Oh yeah, they're just doing some gratitude exercise. No. It's founded on scripture. It's founded on the verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. Because if we think, yeah, this is material things, gratitude, attitude is, we then stop doing that. And they getting mercy because they're linking every single small thing in their life to the Lord. The Lord is telling Brahma, everything that you're going through, in terms of activities, in terms of your mindset, understand that to be my causeless mercy. Prabhupada in the purport says, when a living entity desires to serve the Lord in transcendent loving service, the Lord helps the devotees in so many ways as the Chaitya Guru or spiritual master within. And thus the devotee can perform many wonderful activities beyond material estimation. By the mercy of the Lord, even a layman can compose prayers of the highest spiritual perfection. Such spiritual perfection is not limited by material qualification, but is developed by dint of one's sincere endeavor to render transcendental service. Voluntary endeavor is the only qualification for spiritual perfection. Voluntary endeavor is the only qualification for spiritual perfection. I'm going to repeat it again. voluntary endeavor. That means you need to grab that service. You need to say, I'm going to serve. You can't say, okay, Prabhu, he's going to serve for me. No. He's going to eat prasad for me. No. You have to eat your own prasadam. So voluntary, you need to take it up. You should want to be able to take up the service. Prabhupada says that is the only qualification for spiritual perfection. Once you develop that attitude of wanting to serve, wanting to expand your service, wanting to increase the quality of your service, of your devotional service, for the pleasure of Hari, Guru, Vaishnava, Bhagavata Gita, that is the only qualification. Then it's up to the time that the Lord, then it's ultimately up to Krishna in terms of how long it will take for that to happen, revelation to happen. But otherwise, it is Krishna's timeline. Material acquisition of wealth or education are not considered. Why is material education and wealth not required? In fact, you can be a pauper. You can have nothing in your life and still achieve perfection. What is the Lord looking for? You could have nothing. You could be a pauper number one, and yet you can still achieve perfection. What is the Lord looking for? Anyone in the chat? What is the Lord looking for? Love and devotion, Sharina says. Anything else? You don't need money. You don't need education. Voluntary self-willingness, surrender. Yes. The Lord is looking for you to offer yourself. That's what you have. And every single one of us have ourselves to offer. So that's all the Lord is looking for. When you offer yourself in love, in voluntary service, that is perfection. Or you could say that is the beginning of perfection, and that matures more and more and more. The more you offer yourself, the more you offer love, and that increases. So in this way, we need to advance. 39. Ritoham astu badram te lokanam vijaye chayaya yad asto shirguna mayam nirgunam manu varnayam yan. I am very pleased. I'm very much pleased by your descriptions of me in terms of my transcendental qualities, which appear mundane to the mundaners. I grant you all benedictions in your desire to glorify all the planets by your activities. Purport. A pure devotee of the Lord, like Brahma and those in his line of disciplic succession, always desire that Lord be known all over the universe by each and every one of the living entities. That desire of the devotees is always blessed by the Lord. The impersonalists sometimes praise that the mercy of the personality of God and Narayan as the embodiment of material goodness. But such prayers do not satisfy the Lord because he is not thereby glorified in terms of his actual transcendental qualities. The pure devotees of the Lord are always most dear to him, although he is always kind and merciful to all living entities. Here the word guna maya mayam is significant because it indicates the Lord's possessing transcendental qualities. So there's a difference between the impersonalist glorifying and then the devotee, the pure devotees glorifying the qualities of Krishna. So Lord Brahma was glorifying the wonderful qualities of the Lord, and this pleased the Lord. This pleased the Lord very much. So in this way, when we remember these prayers, glorify the Lord with these same prayers, with these same qualities that Lord Brahma glorified the Lord becomes very, very, very pleased. And when the Lord becomes pleased, we make advancement. So this is the secret. The pleasure of the Lord should be our life and soul. The pleasure of the pure devotee should be our life and soul. The pleasure of the devotees should be our life and soul. In this way, we can actually make advancement. So I'm going to stop there. We will continue from text 40 till the end, and then I have a section on that next week. All right. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Go Pramanande Hari Hari Bol. Let us cover some of the questions and comments that were shared. If you have any other questions or comments, please post that in the chat. So Bafana says, we cannot do or get blessings or empowerment other than from devotees. We depend on devotees. We depend on devotees. The theme picked up as you present Brahma's state of execution. Yes, we depend on the Lord, we depend on the devotees. Mercy flows. Srila Vishwan Chakravarti Thakur in Madhura Kanambini makes it very clear that mercy flows, the Lord's mercy flows behind the devotee. That means really our perfection in spiritual life, our beginning in spiritual life, our growth in spiritual life, and our perfection in spiritual life is all through the mercy of the devotees of the Lord. And that is why Prabhupada constantly says we should look for advanced association, because that advanced association is really what will propel us further. So much accomplishment are just forcing our awareness to the vision that is not your ability or doing there's more to it. Just forces you to say humbly thank you, express gratitude, and that your nature is that of gratitude by yourself and expressed to you by others in appreciation. The whole cycle of gratitude that defeats the ego. Yes. As soon as, like in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, those in a mode of demonic mentality, they think I'm the doer. But we know in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna speaks about 5 doers. So we're not the only people. And that means I can't say I did everything. No, you didn't. There's so many doers. There are so many involved. So yes, we can only be grateful. Thank you, my Lord, for me using me an instrument, for allowing me to render some sort of service, giving me the ability. It's also very well applicable in groundedness psychotherapy, because it's psychotherapy. When mindfulness is applied to a patient, somehow in the process, the spark revives and a person fails to understand the mystery. Yet it is more like coming back to oneself from material coverage. Yeah, so this process reveals and gives clarity. When we align to the instructions of the Lord, when we align to the Bhagavatam, then there is even that little clarity, or you could say initially there's no clarity, I'm following a certain principle. But because that principle is aligned to the Vedas, to the Bhagavatam, and you follow that, the mercy flows. And that mercy brings clarity. That mercy brings enthusiasm. That mercy brings courage. That mercy gives strength. So in this way, that cycle continues more and more. Ram Kinkaradan said, Srila Prabhupada said to, yes, his own is Bhakti Charumaj, offer this one life to Lord Krishna. And Maj did it. Prabhupada said, offer this love. You offered so many lifetimes to Maya. And just see where you are. Now just try and offer this one life to Krishna and see what happens. So Maj, yes. He did that, offered one life to Krishna. So we also should offer this life to Krishna and see what happens. Prabhupada said, if nothing happens, you can go back. But we know, Prabhupada is saying, without doubt, without doubt. This is not hodgepodge. This is not some speculation. This is not some invention. This is Satyam Param Dhimahi. This is the absolute truth. And yes, it may be difficult to appreciate or digest. How can this be the absolute truth? But that is where faith comes in. If you apply a little faith and have some sincerity, then Krishna in the heart will give you signs, will give you certain experiences, will give you certain revelations, will give you certain inclinations, certain aspirations, certain clues that there is something here. Those who are on the chat, type in the chat yes if you, throughout your Krishna conscious journey, have been given some sort of sign, signal, revelation, experience, something that distinguished that experience from normal material experience. That means that experience cannot manifest from a material source. It's like chalk and cheese, black and white. You can clearly know that, hold on, this was not part of some sort of material experience. Just like, if I go bungee jumping and I jump, I get some adrenaline, some thrill. Oh, this is nice. Right? That's an experience, but that's a material experience. In spiritual life, I can clearly understand that this was not due to matter. It was due to the mercy of Krishna. So type yes if you had such an experience. Don't need to tell us what, because that is a secret that you keep deep within your heart. But just say yes if you had some sort of experience like this that clearly demarked, right? Yeah, that definitely 100%. I can guarantee that experience was coming because of my service, because of Krishna's mercy. And it doesn't need to be like monstrous, like Krishna didn't, like Krishna appears in front of me. That like in Brahma's case. No, we need to be aware. And if you're aware and you trace back and you recollect your experience from the time you became a devotee, you would note, you would see. In fact, it's interesting that if Krishna so desire, after you perfect your life and you look back, you will see far, far, far more incidents where Krishna's hand was the play. Throughout our life, we may not recognize Krishna's hand, Krishna's mercy. We need to become more and more aware of Krishna's mercy. And every single one of us have an experience. It's just that we need to become more conscious and aware of that experience and reflect back. And you'll see, actually, that was Krishna's mercy, without doubt. Like, I don't know how many of you, I'll conclude with this, have eaten prasad, had an experience, and then tried that same recipe without offering and see. Like when we were running the restaurant, and people would come and they would have prasad and they would think, wow, it's like far out. Can I get the recipe? And we give them the recipe. Then they go home. They follow the recipe. They come back. No, man, you gave the wrong recipe. No, that's the recipe we use. No, you didn't give me the right recipe. This tastes different. Well, why does it taste different? That means that's Krishna's experience. You've received Krishna's experience. So like that, simple experiment. Now that person may not recognize that actually eating Krishna prasad is actually he's getting a special taste, which is Krishna's mercy. Because we're not directly preaching to them. They coming, but they're getting prasad and they're slowly getting the experience. But they know this food is special. This food is something different. Then slowly you start educating them. Yes, because it's the sacrifice, the love, how it's cooked, the cleanliness, etc. That makes it special. All right. Thank you very much for everyone's time. We will continue and complete this section, and then we have a last special section to summarize this very important chapter in relation to how to become empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Kwantarat Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Go Pramanande, Hari Hari Bo.